Welcome everybody to Dragon Quest FM, where we talk about and obsess over Dragon Quest. I'm Austin,
I'm BJ.
and this week we're departing from Dragon Quest just a little bit to talk about the Switch 2. I mean, it's a big new console that's coming out this summer. There's been a ton of news come out and things related to it. Our episode last week, which was a live episode, that was a ton of fun. So if y'all have not listened to that or watched that, please do, because it was just personally, that was one of the more fun episodes that we've got to do. I think just that we were in person and that we were getting to interact with people in real time.
Yeah,
made it so memorable and fun.
And that's one of my favorite things. Like I said then, like being able to interact with people on a live stream and just have constant communication back and forth. Like, I love doing that. So hopefully we'll be able to do some more stuff like that. I'm working on. As you can see, there's a new background on here if you're looking at the video. I'm playing with OBS, trying to get everything set up so that we can do that more often when we're not around one another. So be prepared for that kind of thing to come up. And but yeah, so you can go check out the stream, the VOD of it on YouTube right now for episode 9, or listen to it on Spotify or wherever. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Really, once again, thank y'all for coming up. And those of you who were watching, it was a lot of fun talking to you guys. So I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, it really was. But because of that, we did touch on Switch 2 stuff a little bit then, because the day we were recording it, it was like I think it was the first day of the Nintendo Treehouse Live.
Mm-hmm. It was. I think so.
And so it was like, it's just stuff that you had been watching in real time with me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just kind of fresh on everybody's minds. But this seemed like a really good time to just kind of talk about the Switch 2, because sometimes we like to talk about things that aren't DQ. Don't get me wrong, we talk about DQ all the time, but
I think the people who listen to this podcast know that we like to talk about things other than DQ.
Well, I don't mean just in terms of like talking about DQ, like in terms of the podcast. I think we still we bring it up with each other.
It's true.
Like throughout the week. It's not like 6 days of the week we don't think about Dragon Quest, and then
yep. And then there's one.
Oh, we're recording, so we gotta talk.
Right.
That's kind of what I meant by it. But anyway, so since we recorded last week's episode, Nintendo has gone back on allowing pre-orders for the Switch 2 here in the States for all of us American fans who want to Switch 2.
Yep.
I also yesterday, I guess it was, the day before we're recording this, because we're recording this on April 9th. So this was the day pre-orders were supposed to go live for us. And kind of like last minute, they also balked on Canada. Canada can't do it either.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They did it at the last minute, and I was talking to after the fact I was talking to some of my Canadian friends, but even before that, I was talking to a couple of people I work with, and we were like, oh, this is to keep people from smuggling it in, because you could just go across into Canada, buy it much cheaper, and then just drive back home to Michigan or wherever with it. And so that's I don't think I've seen anything concrete saying that's the reason, but it's kind of like that's got to be the reason, right?
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. I was like, if the official tariffs and price and all of it is such in flux right now, then where do I have friends in another country where I could actually get it shipped into the country or brought with them if they were traveling? It was
so now that kind of limits it, before that you could. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't say anything. You cut out.
Oh, weird. Okay, maybe my internet did a hiccup or something. I thought you were starting to say something. But yeah, it's one of those things where, I guess, I mean, I do have friends in Canada. I don't know if I'm assuming that I would not be driving there, and I assume that the shipping rate for having it shipped here would probably be equal to whatever the price is going to be with tariffs and stuff. So I who knows, but
I don't know how that kind of thing works with import prices and taxes and customs and tariffs where if you're not buying it from a and if you're not buying it from a company as a product, you're getting something from an individual who's a friend or something. I don't know. It's weird, and I hate being so up in the air. Even though I was up in the air on whether or not I was going to be able to buy one at the beginning anyway, or
Yeah.
wanted to, but without it's the kind of thing where I wanted to be given the option to make that decision, and it is like on top of everything else that is hard, that you're expecting the price to go up on right now, that we don't know what video games and everything we're going to get for a while, and it's like, oh, Nintendo, you took this from us too. And I hate that. Like, I hate that they're having to make this decision one way
Yeah,
or the
and
other.
yeah, but also like my thing with it is even if you and I were not gonna like pull the trigger on getting it day one at launch or
Hmm.
anything, it's still like, okay, obviously this is being held because they don't know what to charge for it, and
Right.
it's like the $450 was already kind of like,
Hmm.
that's like that involves some like saving up and
Yeah.
like I mean, I don't know everybody's financial situation, but I don't just drop $450 like I would like, you know, money for a cheeseburger, right? Like
Right.
$450 is like, you think about it for a minute money.
If you were dropping
And
$450 for a cheeseburger, I would absolutely
no,
become your personal chef on that one, man.
no, I'm saying that I don't do that.
No,
Like a
I know. That's what
cheeseburger
I'm
is like,
saying. Like it.
like 5, $6. Like you don't really think about it. You're just like, I'm hungry, 5, $6. Like $450 is like, no,
Yeah, like
that's like
that's.
I gotta think about it. I have to think about it and also like check with my wife first, kind of money.
Yep, it is. Check with my wife kind of money. That's a good way of putting it. Where with taxes, you get Mario Kart, you get taxes included on it, and the U.S. sales tax, or at least for the areas we are, is about 10% sales tax. So it would be over $600 to get just the two of them as is. Like if I were to get 450 plus 90 plus 10%, like you're over.
Well, they have the bundle where you can get it for just 4.99. It comes with MK
Yeah, but that comes
on
with
it.
a digital version of it, and that's gross. Uh,
I mean, I'm probably gonna get that, especially with Nintendo charging more for the actual physical games now. That's kind of, I'm just like, that really sucks. And games are already kind of getting too expensive for me. So the fact that more of them are gonna be like that, it's kind of just like. But also, I mean, I love actually owning physical copies of games, and I still will buy physical copies of games that I like. But I've gotten to the point where a lot of times I actually prefer digital now because I share a PS5 with my kids, right?
right.
It's way easier. Like it's kind of a pain in the butt because I want to play this game, and it's like, it's much easier to just have digital on the console and shift
Yeah.
between games than having to go through that process. And also, they're still young and get their little like fingies all over the disc, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, don't do it. Um, and I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where, like, if I get one, like I'll probably get like the bundle instead because
Yeah.
Kart Tour is one of those games that I don't have to have physical for that. Like at this point, I really stay physical for like the RPGs that I really care about. Like
Right. I get that.
getting getting Final Fantasy 16, like I had to have that one physical. Getting
Yes.
like the Trails games, the Trails through Daybreak 2 that just came out, like got that physical. And I'll get whenever they re-release Trails in the Sky later this year.
Hmm.
Like I'm gonna get physical of that. Like
So
there's
good.
certain games like I want Dragon Quest games. Like I'm gonna get physical copies of Dragon Quest games. I mean, it's just even if they're $10 more,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get them.
for sure.
And so I, and so that's kind of where I'm at with the whole like physical versus
Hmm.
digital space.
Yeah.
I think that, but my main concern is like even if we weren't going to buy it day one launch, it's like okay, well, like $450 was already kind of expensive. Like
Hmm.
if if the U.S. price on this ends up being like a flat rate of like 550 or 600 or whatever, I'm just like, man, that's like, I mean, I got a PS5 when it came out, but feel like that hurt me for a little bit. That sucker was, expensive.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I got it I think in November, and it was kind of like a thing where my birthday's in November, and it was kind of like a thing where I was like, This is my birthday and my Christmas present
Yeah,
together.
it was a big purchase, and I mean, we lucked into getting the pre-orders at the beginning of it. Like, actually lucked into it where like I was able to get the pre-orders by refreshing a page 3 minutes before an email got sent out, and they sold out again. Like, it was pure luck we got them then, but it was a chunk of money that was just like hard to do. And if I were paying $600 for a handheld console, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to buy a Steam Deck instead. Like, I feel bad about it, but so many of the games nowadays are getting ported to PC later that outside of Nintendo first party titles, I would honestly think I would get more use out of the Steam Deck for a $600 than I would even 550 ish. Like, you can get the different models. I think I would rather have a Steam Deck than a Switch 2 in terms of having a handheld system. And it makes me
You get
really
more.
sad.
Yeah,
Like, that
yeah.
actually
I mean,
does
that's the
make me
thing.
sad.
Is like Switch 2 is gonna get make or break on its exclusives.
Hmm.
And right now it's like, you know, Mario Kart World looks fun, Donkey Kong Bonanza looks fun, but those are not necessarily console
Yeah.
sellers for me. Those are still games that like I'm okay with playing a year from now or
Right.
2 years from now. Like those are games that I can enjoy in 2027, assuming we're not living in some like wasteland where we have to barter like bottles of water and our bodies.
Yeah.
But
It's
right,
even then people will have Switches, Austin. People will have the Switches. They exist there. Uh
maybe, but will
Electricity won't,
electricity
but
exist?
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
really, like, it's like the Switch 2. If there's nothing they announce that makes me have to get it immediately. I still play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I still play Mario Kart Tour. It's that there's nothing really going on with it that makes me want to grab it immediately anyway. It's just I like to be an early adopter of stuff like this. I like to have these consoles and be able to play them and even play some of the older games. But I mean, it's just like when you have options like the Steam Deck and you told me the other day that there might be an Xbox console as a handheld, and there's the
There's
PlayStation
there's
Remote
supposedly
thing
yeah.
that's weird and terrible but still exists. There's the Backbone controller for your phone that you can use for Xbox Game Pass, which I've done. It's hard to really justify a $600 Switch. And this is the first time since, I guess, the Wii U. But I mean, and I hate to say it because I really liked the Wii U, but I didn't get it until it was a dying system. It that I don't really feel like I need this Nintendo console, even though it is objectively better in every way than the original Switch.
Yeah, but yeah, Xbox is supposed to get a handheld by the end of 2025. It's
Oh,
called, I can't remember the name of it. It's called like Project. Right now, it's just a code name. It's like Project. I don't know, Nostradamus. That's not it, but it's
yeah.
called like Project something. And it's a name though, but it's kind of
Mm.
like an odd name where it was like, this is like Project Steve or something. This is Project Steve. But it is one of those things where like it feels like I don't know. I
Yeah.
was I was kind of like, what are they talking about here? But anyway, yeah. So supposedly Xbox handheld console coming out 2025. That could be a real. It's kind of like if it's affordable.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, between Xbox Game Pass and if it's an affordable handheld, like that could be a very like go-to affordable option for a lot of people because you can just have this handheld and then subscribe to Game Pass
Yep.
and way easier than spending $600 on a console and then buying $90, $80,
Yeah.
$70 games. You could just have like a $10 subscription.
And there's also the almost certain prospect of having however many months of Game Pass with the console itself. So they're going to give you 6 months of Game Pass when you buy this hardware, whatever, and that's going to be the price of whatever game that you were going to get as a bundle inclusive. So I mean, it's going to be weird for Nintendo on this one. And I saw the other day that Doug Bowser had mentioned the original price, the 450 was not considering any kind of potential tariffs. that was just the
Mhm.
base cost of the console in America, in North America, and whatever's coming now will be based on any kind of tariffs and taxes put on, which really does worry me because that could make it upwards of $600 to $700, depending on where they're being imported from.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe um, you know, that's how the revolution starts. Last time it was with tea. This time it's
This
gonna be
time,
video
it's
games.
with
People are just
Nintendo,
we're just gonna we're gonna dump Nintendo games into like the Bay Area,
and
just into the Bay
just
with our
push
Nintendo games.
cargo boxes off of ships and the containers. Like that's where it's
Yeah,
going to start. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just
Um,
such a strange thing. So you didn't get any hands-on stuff with the Switch 2, but you watched all of the Treehouse stuff that they've been doing. Has any of them caught your attention in terms of like more than it did during the direct? Because you've seen all of the content now. You've probably seen and talked to people who did get hands-on. Is there anything that really
yeah.
makes it not a system seller? Because like you said already, but that makes it you think will be more than what we saw in the direct, the rest of us.
Yeah, so I didn't get to go hands-on, but like one of our writers did at Screen Rant, and I was talking to her because I edited her preview of it and also the interview she did from the event and everything, and then just kind of chatted with her about it a little bit too, to like get ideas and stuff for other articles. But um, honestly, her hands-on preview of it kind of sold me on it a little bit better.
Oh,
Like
good.
she said in her Devin is her name. She said in her article, and just to me, like she wasn't really sold on what she saw in the Switch 2 Direct, kind of like I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got to go hands on with stuff, and like she really talked up the Donkey Kong game with talking about how, and it was the first time I had heard even ahead of the Treehouse stuff that like everything was like destructible in Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of that sounds cooler, and I was really hitting it home on how fun Bonanza was, but also like her time with uh with World, with
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart World,
Right.
how fun that was. And I thought it was interesting. She said that the attendant recommended her doing the left Joy-Con and the mouse option for Metroid.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I thought that was kind of cool that they're already like they're encouraging because at first people were like I saw when people were talking about like the mouse
Yeah.
controller, a lot of people were like, oh, like RTS games
Yeah.
and things like that. But no, they're doing like the
Like
full
the first
blown,
person
kind of like
shooter, like
Ca-
that's
Call of Duty first person
yep.
shooter, yeah, mouse
That's
kind of
what I
deal,
was thinking with it. Like it's gonna make a lot of those games have a much more narrow level of competition between any kind of cross-platform play with Switch users. Because one of the biggest issues I had with playing Overwatch on the Switch was that I was so used to the mouse and keyboard that it was hard to play just with the joystick. Like it just didn't work for me. And I like shooters and things like that with joysticks generally, even though they don't have the accuracy. But so I was excited to see that, and I'm glad to hear that it
yeah.
actually worked as well as we had hoped, or I had hoped, I guess.
I think my biggest problem with the mouse thing is that um it sounds really nice, right? If you're playing a Switch at the table or whatever. But where do you play your Switch? Because for me, it's
Yeah.
it's in bed or on my couch,
Yep.
and neither of those places really allow a flat surface for me to just like. Am I just going to be like full blown lazy, like laying prone on the couch and like using my belly and chest as like the table for the mouse? Like, is that just some kind? That seems like Wally level of like lazy.
Yeah, like
But
I was thinking maybe sitting
I
up on
don't
the
know what you.
couch and having it on the TV and using my leg, using the top of my thigh as a mouse, if that's possible. Like that's what I was thinking, like
Yeah.
just sitting there and doing that. But because I had the same thought on like, how am I going to do
Yeah.
this? I'm not at a desk or a table when I'm playing my Switch. We don't even have a coffee table, so what am I going to do here?
Yeah. I also one thing that I thought was interesting that she asked the interviewer like first off
Yeah.
is if the Switch 2 cartridges are gonna taste bad. Um, the answer
Yay!
is yes.
Awesome. That's still my favorite thing to make people do. One of my favorite things, and when people hear about it, I'm like, go home, lick your Switch cartridge. And then I get a message back and like, oh my God, it's just as bad as you said. I'm like, yeah, isn't it though? And so I'm
It's
glad.
bad, but I think and what I love about this is when the Switch came out, like and everybody was talking about it. You didn't have a Switch yet, and
Mm-mm.
I went and licked it, and I was like, yeah, it does actually. And then as soon as you got a Switch, I was like, you gotta lick it, man. It's
Yep.
like it's bad, and it's like on some level, I guess it's really pitiful that two grown men are just licking video game cartridges.
Yep.
But it's one of those things that you just gotta. It's kind of like that thing that I feel like everybody does, where it's like you smell something really bad, and it's like, oh, like this is awful. Smell this,
Yep. Because you want to
and
share it
people
with
do it,
everybody
and every
else.
time, yep, it's just one of those things that there's some things that are like so awful that there's just like a human compulsion to share it with everybody you know.
And people tend to want to know how bad it was. Like that's my thing. It's like, oh, they said it's bad, but can it really be that bad? And the answer is yes. Almost always it's yes. But I'm really glad to hear that. And I know, you know what my first thought was when you told me that? Is it a different taste or is it the same one? And I'm assuming
See,
it's the same one.
I also wondered that too, but I think it's the same taste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I'm happy that she said that, and that was one of her first questions. I'm also sad that that wasn't her follow up. That is, will it taste the same, or is it going to be? Will I be able to tell my Switch cartridges from my Switch Two
Well,
cartridges by
the
taste as well as color?
the person she originally interviewed did not know how to answer that question. They were like, "Oh, I haven't really tasted." I mean, they thought it was funny, but they were like, "I haven't really tasted the cartridges. I
Right.
have no like, I can't comment on that." Um, so my first reaction upon hearing that was kind of like, "What are you doing?" If you work for your Nintendo and you're not immediately licking Switch 2 cartridges, like why are you even showing up to work?
Well, also at this point, maybe they didn't already, even if they did, because it wouldn't be a consumer product. And if Nintendo doesn't trust their employees who are giving demos of these not to eat the cartridges, then I think that speaks volumes on that. But it would be funny though
Yeah,
if they
that also be
like
true, yeah.
even the pre-release was like, oh, we gotta test. Like we're sending them out. Those reviewers are or I don't even know what the word would be. Are a strange bunch.
Yeah. So yeah, like the other interview questions she had, I think were generally stuff that and two, we're like a week out from the preview and the interviews now, so I don't know that there's
Right.
really too much other things to promote there, but Devin's a really good writer, really good interviewer. You can see her interview and preview over on Screen Rant. But yeah, I think like I'm kind of excited for the Age of Calamity, the not Age of Imprisonment,
Imprisonment.
the
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom one, because I actually enjoyed Age of Calamity. I was
Ah.
a little bit sad, especially because of the ending, that they didn't like relate it to Tears of the Kingdom or do anything else at
Right.
all. And then it kind of seems like this one is maybe actually legitimately canon with Tears of the Kingdom. So it's kind of like I wish they would. And canon timeline stuff has always been really contentious with Zelda anyway, and pretty like
Yeah.
fast and loosey goosey. But like I'm interested to see where that goes. And I think the other thing too is like most of these games are like games that I'm okay with playing just on Switch. Like I
Right.
don't like it doesn't bother me that like I don't have to play any of these games in 4K. I don't need any of this stuff. I'm sure it's nice, but it's kind of like as long as they're gonna keep releasing games on Switch as well, it's kind of like I'm fine. I think with my Switch and playing the games on my
Yeah.
Switch.
And those kind of games, the Muso games like that are the ones where you have thousands of enemies at a time, really will benefit from the Switch 2, having the increased hardware, the faster response times, or not response times, but frame rates and things like that. Like they'll look better and maybe perform better, but they don't perform poorly on the Switch as it is. Like when I've played any of the Hyrule Warriors games in the past, or I think it's been just fine. But that is one of the
Yeah,
few
I
that I
thought
could think about being like that would be neat because you would have a much higher frame rate and be able to see many more enemies on screen at the time. But it's not as though I
yeah.
ever look at the ones where it's like, oh man, there are not enough enemies on screen right now. It only rare
Mhm.
slowdown when you get a whole lot of particle effects.
Yeah, I didn't really notice too much. I played Age of Calamity pretty much exclusively in handheld mode
Yeah,
on Switch, and I didn't really notice too much wrong with it. If there was stuttering and lag and other things happening in Age of Calamity, I definitely didn't notice it. I mean, I'm sure there were frame rate drops and stuff, but
yeah,
it was kind of like I don't remember it being like a really rough performing game or
yeah.
anything. It wasn't like Nino Kuni 1 on Switch performed pretty rough,
I
and
never had any
I
issue,
thought
but I
the
didn't get that far into it. Uh,
and I played the cartridge on that one. Also the FF9 remaster,
yeah.
which was digital that I played on Switch, I thought stuttered and performed
Hmm.
poorly, especially compared to
Bingo.
like I ended up getting it. What?
We mentioned FF9. Bingo. If your bingo
Oh,
cards are out
oh,
there, we did mention FF9 already. And we did talk
that's true.
about not having electricity, so we got surprisingly dark for a
Surprisingly
point.
dark. Yeah, I think selling our bodies in water for as the exchange rate probably covered
Yeah.
the dark side
So if
of
you
things
guys
that
don't
I've
know
not
what we're
done.
talking
We're okay.
about, user put together a DQFM bingo card that we go over. We there you can search back our archive episodes to find that. It's great. Like it is seriously the best thing that just stays at the forefront of my mind when we record these podcasts.
Yeah, that's pretty great. For those of you who are listening to today's episode, be sure to comment, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or wherever, and let us know your thoughts on Switch 2. Um, I feel like like a lot of comments, especially from people in the States, all seem to be kind of similar with like, oh, pricing, oh, I'm not getting a pre-order. But I'm curious to hear other people's thoughts. So anybody listening, please share your thoughts with us on Switch 2. Let us know your takes, also what you're looking forward to game wise. If you plan on just, sticking with Switch 1 for now and using the uh, backwards
Hmm.
compatibility kind of options to keep playing the new releases on Switch 1, or whatever your thoughts are. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/.
At
I'll let
DQFM.
BJ do it. At DQFM. Thank you. You can talk with us on Twitter or Blue Sky at DragonQuest.fm. I'm at both of those places, Dragon Quaston. And I think that covers my stuff.
Yep, and I'm on Blue Sky at bjkgames.com. And we are on Patreon at patreon.com/DragonQuestFM if you would like to join the community, help support the podcast, and even tell us what to podcast about. Some of our more recent episodes have been from podcast listener requests, so patron requests rather. And if you want to be a part of that, you can go to patreon.com/DragonQuestFM to get involved with that. So yeah, that I think that kind of wraps us up for today.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.